Okay, today I'm going to talk about Switzerland because I think a lot of people aren't terribly familiar with the country. Its history, heritage, and the way it works, because it's quite different from most other countries. The two-letter abbreviation for Switzerland is CH, which stands for Confederatio Helvetica, or the Helvetic Confederation. That's because it really is a confederation. It has 26 cantons, which are essentially federal states, but with far more autonomy than, for example, the US. Switzerland itself has 4 national languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. The last is a language spoken by a little under 1% of the 8 million people for population, but is unique to Switzerland. The German spoken in Switzerland has its own distinct characteristics. German in general has a lot of dialect and accent variation, but Switzerland is kind of special. There are also different cantonal variations on Swiss German as well. The first Swiss Confederation was formed after the Battle of Margarten in 1315, when the Swiss won over the Austrians. The Swiss cantons operated from there on in mutual defense and trade agreements, but were otherwise pretty independent from each other in terms of actual governance. These grew over the centuries, but the two events changed everything from later on. The first was the French invasion in 1798, which pushed French revolutionary ideals of democracy and human rights onto the still very conservative Swiss. After the French left, the Swiss would incorporate some French and Napoleonic ideas into the country and its governance and government system. In 1847, Switzerland had a very short and minor civil war between the Catholic and Protestant cantons, which then established a more federal government system. While Europe in general was on fire with the revolution in 1848, Switzerland drew up a constitution based on the American model, bringing the cantons more and more into a federal system. Switzerland currently practices direct democracy. Citizens of each canton are called to vote on referenda fairly often, and have a direct role in approving or challenging legislation. There is a lot less reliance on parliamentary representatives. There is a federal parliament of about 200 people for the country as a whole, but generally speaking, people have a direct role. Actually, the country as a whole is governed by a council of about 7 members, of which the president is rotated amongst them every year or so. This position is largely a formality, just someone to greet foreign heads of state, stuff like that, just so someone can say, oh, that's the Swiss president. But yeah, Switzerland is an interesting country because it operates in a very unique sense, and its heritage and the reason it works like that goes back a long way into the relative independence of the different cantons. And despite that, they are all very different and work differently and operate mostly independently. It's only some things which are federal standards, like hiking paths and stuff like that. But yeah, that's Switzerland. I hope you enjoyed this background footage. While I was at it, I thought I would take some while I was doing it. Okay. And oh yeah, DFTBA.